All right, everybody, good morning. Welcome to Kevin Talks Tech, my technology blog and podcast, making technology simple, easy, and fun to understand. I want to thank you very much for joining me here today, and I want to thank you for bearing with me as we had some technical issues happening there just a little bit ago. We're starting our live event here today, a little bit later than I had hoped. But again, I do want to thank you very much for coming here and being part of this today. We'll kick off very shortly. We've got a number of things that we're talking about here on Kevin Talks Tech today related to cutting the cord and taking your questions on all tech topics. So again, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. We'll get started and underway here shortly. We're just slightly behind our 9 o'clock a.m. CT start time due to just a couple technical issues. And we'll get kicked off here right now. Actually, I tell you what. I think this is a perfect time to get us started. So welcome again to Kevin Talks Tech, my technology blog and podcast, making technology simple, easy, and fun to understand. Forgot I was live there for a second. Want to thank you so much for joining me here today. This is the very first of what I hope to be many series live, where we answer tech questions and talk about a particular tech topic. There is one particular topic that has been out there for quite some time now, ever since the advent of YouTube came out, Netflix was huge, Hulu, all of those streaming services, and it's this idea of cutting the cord. And what I mean by that is getting rid of cable, getting rid of satellite, and increasingly, honestly, these days too, it's kind of become this idea of getting rid of those expensive subscriptions as well, because a lot of those have really ballooned and become the same cost that you would pay for cable television, cable and satellite. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. There are some good solutions out there, though, and I want to weigh in on that. We'll also take your questions here today, too, on any particular tech topics that you do want to talk about. So stand by for that as well, and we will jump right into it. I'm just getting into the live room right now to make sure that everything is going well and everything is looking good for you here today. So stand by here one moment. I don't know if you actually hear this in the background. This is me rolling the ad. Okay, there we go. I just want to make sure that the stream is working here on my end and making sure that we are looking good, and which we are. So let's jump right into it. One thing I want to talk about here today when it comes to cutting the cord is not underscoring the value of a good antenna. So if you live within a major metropolitan area, an antenna is still honestly the best way to go when it comes to cord cutting, because there are so many channels out there that come from the broadcast networks that are free. And on top of that, unlike prior, many, many years ago, actually not really that long ago, but at the beginning of the millennium, around 2000, when you used to have analog over-the-air channels and they only had one channel per channel, now a lot of these networks also have a lot of sub-channels attached to them as well. And sub-channels allow you to get more channels within a channel. So an antenna is actually one of the ways that I cut the cord and save a lot of money. Literally, I guess physically don't cut the cord this way. But these can save you a lot of money. You do have to live, like I said, within a major metropolitan area or have an antenna that has a good reach attached to it. But they do sell indoor antennas for anywhere in the ballpark of $15 to $75, kind of depending upon what you're looking for, depending upon the quality of the antenna and also the range that it can pick up channels from. So this is one that I picked up recently. It's from RCA, around $30 or so. It's got a 55 mile range on it, which is fantastic. And the great thing is too, they've really started to really blend these in with the decor. So this almost kind of looks like a Wi-Fi router, but it's actually an antenna, and it just blends in real nicely with my furniture that I have in my apartment. So you just hook this right into the back of the television set, do a channel scan, and you're going to be able to pick up, like I said, a lot of different network channels. Granted, again, you do need to live within an area where you've got transmitters nearby. So you may be wondering to yourself, how do I find that out? There's actually a great website that I highly recommend, and I'm going to pull it up here for you right now. It's called Antenna Web, and it's a site that I use all the time whenever I'm looking at getting antenna or just looking for channels that are available to me in the area. So I'll pull this up here for you right now. I do want to layer this though, so give me a second. So that way you're still able to see my picture here in the background as we do this. Again, it's the first live broadcast, so Cut me a little slack here as I get all the technical stuff figured out. So I'm going to layer my picture here in the corner. Then I'm going to pull up this window so you can see what this looks like. Antenna Web, though, is a great resource. It's been around for quite a while. And if you are doing any antenna type shopping, I do highly recommend using this as your first place to go. So I will pull up the page, and I'm going to go ahead and there we go. So this is antennaweb.org. And when you go here, what you'll do is you'll type in your zip code that you live in. So for instance, I'll type in my zip code right here. You'll hit go. And it's going to pull up a page that looks like this. It'll tell you how many channels are available within your area. So where I live here in the Twin Cities area in Minnesota, Minneapolis, I can get up to 56 channels from 15 over-the-air stations. And you'll notice right here, again, 15 stations, but 56 channels. So roughly anywhere in the ballpark of about 3 to 4 sub-channels per station. So you're getting 15 channels, but with about maybe 3 to 4 channels total within that because you have to count the sub-channels. And that's like a 4.2, a 4.3, a 4.4, et cetera, et cetera. Then over here, this is going to become handy as we go down the page a little bit. This will tell you the type of antenna that you need to be able to pick up channels in your area. When you're antenna shopping and you look at the box, a lot of times they will put these color codes on the box to indicate what type of antenna it is. So as we go down here, these are the channels that are available to me in the area. So this indicates, again, yellow indicates a very small antenna can be used to pick up the channels. And then as you go down here to some of these other networks, these are going to be channels that you're going to need something a little more powerful for. In this case, they're red, medium directional. So what that essentially means is that I need an antenna that's got medium power to it and it's directional. So I need to be able to point that antenna at the transmitter site to be able to pull in that channel. And when you go down here, you can actually see where those transmitter sites are. So this is the location in downtown Minneapolis that I'm pulling from. And then if you go all the way out here, this is actually where the transmitters are located. So to be able to pull in channels with red attached to them, I need to angle the antenna in that direction. Northeast is where this would be from this location right here. And I would need to point the antenna in that direction. Now, if I have a smaller antenna to be able to pull in some of these very, very close channels, this is a small multi-directional. So that means that you don't necessarily need to point the antenna in any particular direction. You could have it pointing west and the transmitter could be east and it's going to come in. One thing you also want to pay attention to here is it'll tell you how far away that transmitter is from you. So in this case, these channels are 1 mile away, give or take, from where I'm at. Whereas in this case right here, these transmitters are all 9 miles away. Shoreview, Minnesota is where the transmitters are located for all the major networks in the Minneapolis-St. Paul market. And so I need to point my antenna at Shoreview to be able to get these. And then you've got a couple out here getting closer to the eastern side of Shoreview. This might be, Arden Hills is the other way, where another transmitter is to be able to pull in the PBS networks. And that's going to require an even greater antenna to be able to do that. A medium directional with a preamp. So preamp is going to be the type of antenna that you're plugging into the wall to give you some power to it. There are antennas that you can buy where they are simply antennas that go right into the back of the TV with a coax cable that looks like this, just like that. But some antennas do also come with a preamp, so you can plug it into the wall. That just gives the antenna a little bit more juice to be able to pull in some of those channels that are further away or that don't have a strong signal attached to them, I guess you could say. So an antenna is definitely something worth checking out. Just do your homework beforehand. Find out how far away you are from certain transmitters. If you live, again, within a major metropolitan area, and realize also that buildings and obstructions are going to make a difference as well. So if I was to go outside of downtown Minneapolis into some of this more outer lying area where you don't have tall buildings, I very well might have a much better shot at pulling in some of those channels. So that is an antenna. Now I want to switch over and talk a little bit about a new service that has come about as of late called Pluto TV, which I really love. Pluto TV. I don't know if you've heard of Pluto TV before, but essentially Pluto TV allows you the ability to watch channels that are these are channels that are coming through the internet. So but they're all free, which is great. And Pluto TV has essentially set up a lot of different networks that you can browse to. So it's like you're changing the channel essentially, but the channels are based on shows. So there's like an Unsolved Mysteries channel that you can watch. There's like a Mystery Science 3000 channel that you can watch, a CSI channel that you can watch. So these are channels that play that particular show all day long, 24/7. But then in addition to that, they also have some common internet channels as well, like CBSN, CBSN New York, CBSN Los Angeles, CBSN Minneapolis, that broadcast news all day long. They have certain CNN channels that replay CNN segments, NBC News channels. So if you're looking for something free that you don't have to pay for, Pluto TV is a fantastic option that I love. It's the primary way that I actually watch television now, in combination here with this antenna that I just showed you a little bit ago. And again, there's no cost to it, which is fantastic. So that is something that you perhaps may want to check out if you are interested in watching free television. Let me just see here if I can give you an idea of how many channels there are. Hundreds of channels, and I'll vouch for that. It is literally hundreds of channels. I can actually pull it up here on my phone and just kind of give you an idea of what we're working with here. And the UI user interface experience is just really nice too. You'll see here as you scroll down just how many channels there are, which is fantastic. This is Sky News, which comes out of the UK. Just some real fantastic stuff. In addition to that, it is available on many different platforms as well. So Amazon Fire TV, Android, Apple TV, Chromecast, Comcast television, the Roku, which is a very popular streaming device, Vizio smart televisions, Xfinity. Really can't go wrong. I think this is going to be something that's just going to continue to get bigger. Again, it is called Pluto TV. You can check it out at pluto.tv. And with that, those are the couple ways that I recommend saving some money, in addition to using all the standard free options that you have out there, such as YouTube. You're watching this on YouTube right now. YouTube is one of the best ways out there to watch free content online. So I do recommend that, of course, as well, but that's a gimme. Everybody knows about YouTube. So let's go ahead and jump in and take some questions now. I know that we've been getting some questions here in the Kevin Talks Tech channel. So I'm going to pull up my Kevin Talks Tech comments here real quick. And I'm just going to see what people have been saying here in the last few days and see if I can help answer some of those questions here for you. So stand by as I pull up the videos and I pull up the comments. And again, I want to thank everybody for being part of this live event today here again. Like I said, I apologize that we got off on a little bit of an odd start with some technical issues, but you know, that tends to happen. It's all part of doing stuff live. So let's see here. I am just going in, getting to my questions. YouTube Studio. All right. We've gotten a lot of questions, by the way, too, here in the last few days. And the questions that we get here on Kevin Talks Tech, they really range all over the place, to be honest, which is awesome. I love that. I love answering questions that are just kind of all over the gamut. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's go into some of the comments. I will show you what people are talking about. So stand by one moment. And I tell you what I'll do is I'll share my other window here with you so you're able to look at that as we answer some of those questions. All right, so I just have to get you guys in here so you're able to see what I'm seeing. Okay, there we go. All right, stand by as I cut over here. All right, so here's what I see in my YouTube. So first question that we've got here on the page, how do I get apps on my WD live streaming player? So this is in connection to the video that I made, the WD TV live box. So what you'll want to do is, I believe, and I haven't used the box in a while, but I believe that there is a store on there, or a way to connect it to the phone. I don't want to say for sure just because I haven't plugged mine in for a while, and you know how fast technology moves. A lot can change. It's probably been 3 to 4 years since I've used mine. So I'm actually going to hold off on answering that question just because I think a lot has probably changed in the last time since I used it. But I'll look into that a little bit, see if I can get you a written response once I've had the time to look back into that a little bit more. Christina Sullivan says, I no longer have the cords to 2 old computers, so I'm not able to wipe the information from them. If I remove the hard drives, is it safe to remove them, or do I need to get power cords and wipe them first, then remove the hard drive? Thanks. So good question, Christina. That's fine. Well, here's the thing. So it depends what you're going to do with those hard drives. If you're going to take them and like get them shredded and stuff like that at a safe place, a lot of places do this locally, or you can send them in. You could keep the stuff on there and it'll be fine. Personally, I do like to wipe hard drives beforehand, even before I pull them out of the computer. So what you can do, actually, if you don't have the power cords to 2 old computers, is regardless of the fact of how old the computer is, the power cord really hasn't changed over the years. So you can actually pull the power cord from your current computer that you're using and use that one, as long as it's like a desktop. Or in addition to that, you can go to a place like Goodwill. Goodwill's actually a great place to go for this. A lot of people, bring junk power cords there. You can find a power cord at Goodwill for a PC, and it'll probably cost you a couple bucks. So I recommend doing something like that. Or jump onto a place like eBay or Facebook Marketplace. A lot of people are probably selling those cords secondhand. Let's see here. Just a couple comments on the videos. Let's see. I'm looking more for questions. Are all PC hard drives 3.5 inch? That's a good question. I actually don't know the answer to that offhand, because hard drives have changed quite a bit from the old standard spin hard drives to now the solid state drives. I assume that they're the same because they would all have to fit into the computer in a certain way, but I actually don't know the answer to that offhand. We'll have to look into that a little bit further. Ethan Smith Music commenting on this video, your TV's RCA, HDMI component and VGA ports explained. Asking, hello, can you please explain how I can get a 6-channel audio 5.1 with this? I have a Logitech Z506 surround sound system, but I have no idea how to connect it from the TV to the system. I know you can run a 3.5 millimeter cord down the system, but that doesn't give you a true 5.1 audio. How do you get true 5.1 audio with the Logitech Z506? So that is a good question. I'd have to look up here the Logitech Z506. Let me just pull it up here on my screen just to see what the back of it looks like. I think it's probably going to be a little bit of a challenge because in order to get that particular sound, you're probably going to need an input that supports that. So I'm going to look at the back here. I'm guessing that this is, let's see, is this the Logitech Z506? Yeah, it's tough to say because I do need to see an actual picture of the Logitech Z506. Let me give you an example here of what I'm looking at here on my end. All right, so let's see. So we'll bring that up, give you guys an idea here of what this is. So I don't actually know. So this is the Logitech Z506 right here. And yeah, it's great. It's got a lot of different speakers attached. I've heard the Logitech systems are really nice. The only problem is I just can't see the back of this right now. And I do have some images here, but I just don't know if this, for instance, is the actual backside of the speaker system. So I don't have an answer for you on that right now. I think if you're looking for that true, 5.1 surround sound. I think you're going to need to make sure that it has the right input, the right inputs on it. And so it's going to need like that dedicated front, that dedicated back, those dedicated side channels to go along with it, or an optical input, I think should also cover it as well. So I'll have to do a little bit more digging on that. I'm sorry, I don't have the best answer for you right now as we're looking through things. Like I said, it's just tough to gauge exactly what the back of that system looks like. So we'll have to do, like I said, a little more digging into that. Let's go back to the questions again. Stand by here as I bring up the window again for you. Like I said, it's a little unpolished here today. Okay. Paulina says, hi, I have an older analog RCA TV and RCA DVD VCR combo. Is there a way to connect Chromecast and over-the-air antenna and be able to play DVDs with this set? How do I figure out how to play multiple video inputs? So far, only the DVD is playing. The VCR has an HDMI port, but the TV does not. They both have those video cables you explained in your tutorial, but I only have cables ending in yellow, white, and not red, not green or blue. I would love your advice and help here. Totally stuck. LOL. Thanks. Okay, so let's break that one down here just a little bit. So first, your question, is there a way to connect Chromecast and over-the-air antenna and be able to play DVDs with this set? Yes, there is. So when it comes to the antenna, you should be able to do that because that is a coax connection, a coaxial connection that looks like this. A lot of times those TV, and a lot of times whether whatever kind of TV it is, even if it's a little bit older, it's going to have that coax connection on it. So you should be able to do that. As far as Chromecast goes, it probably doesn't have HDMI on it. So that's a little tougher. What you can do is you could get an HDMI to composite cable on a place like Amazon. So that's going to have HDMI on one and composite on the other, which is yellow, white, and red. That's going to allow you to be able to see that connection from the Chromecast on your television set. The problem is that you're not going to be able to see it in full HD. It's going to be, and it's downgraded to analog 480p because that's what composite does, those yellow, white, and red cables. How do I figure out how to play multiple video inputs? So far, only the DVD is playing. Multiple inputs. So if it's a DVD VCR combo, the DVD is built in. So you can switch between inputs by switching the input button on your remote. And then you would plug in, like I said, your Chromecast into the red, yellow, and white connections using an adapter that has HDMI on one end and those yellow, white, and red connections on the other, and then switch between those by using the input button on your remote. Okay, sorry. I forgot this from your question. The VCR has an HDMI port, but the TV does not. Okay, so yeah, again, what you do here is kind of scratch what I just said, scratch part of that anyway. Yes, so use the Chromecast, plug the Chromecast into the HDMI port of the VCR, and then you would be able to, as you're connected to the TV, you would be able to connect to the HDMI input through the VCR because you'd have the VCR connected to your TV through a coaxial cable. But you're not, going to get that picture in high definition. So here's what the setup looks like. Chromecast into back of VCR using HDMI TV, and then VCR connected to television set using coaxial cable. You would need to be on channel 3 or 4 more than likely to be able to do that on the television set. And then, you should be able to get that VCR picture and then switch between inputs on the VCR. So switch between VCR, switch between DVD, switch between HDMI using the input button on the VCR remote. So that should work. And as far as connecting the Chromecast to the VCR, not a problem because if you have an HDMI input, Chromecast is an HDMI connection. What if the TV is a brand new Samsung and the DVD player is old? TV doesn't have a place for plugins. Yeah, that happens with a lot of people, Beth. My recommendation is honestly just to get a new DVD player because DVD players are so cheap these days. You can pick one up for $20, $25, and it's going to have all the latest connections on it. What you're looking for is HDMI, or at least component connections, green, blue, gray, or I'm sorry, orange. I think it's orange. I'd have to look back and see. And yeah, that's going to be able to get you what you're looking for. So I would recommend spending a little money, going out, buying a DVD player, and going that route, because again, it's just to the point now where, DVD players, they get old, and they're so cheap now though too at the same time. Great. So we've had a lot of great questions here today. Thanks everybody for chiming in and asking those questions. I always love answering questions by text, but to be able to do it live here like this is absolutely fantastic and gives us the chance to interact a little bit too. So with that, I want to thank you so much for joining me here today for this live broadcast. Again, I apologize that we got started here a little bit late today, but we're hoping to do this again in the near future to answer some more of your tech questions live. And if I do so, I'll make sure to put up a slate so that way you know that you are able to join us. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us today. Appreciate it as always. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you again here real soon.